feedyourvampire.com.
I can't tell the story of how Lucy died without telling the story of how we met. So, let's go back in time to the summer of 2018. My grandmother had begun to experience serious heart problems. In order to be close to her, we packed it up and moved south, from San Jose to Escondido. It was the middle of summer. Every friend I had was 400 miles away. I was lonely and miserable. My solution was to dye my hair about 1 million different colors. Mom's bright idea was to sign me up for theater camp. On the morning of July 18th, Mom dropped me off here at the Firehouse Theater, so called because it used to be the town's only fire station. Racked with terror, I walked through these doors and found my way up to the stage, where a group of 20 or so people had gathered for my execution. Okay, so I'm being a bit dramatic. They were really there to choose their roles in A Midsummer Night's Dream. Among the sophomores, juniors, and seniors were a handful of people my own age that I'd soon call friends. There was Charlie,
Hi,
Nina,
Heya.
and Mary. The enfant terrible.
Oh my god, are you recording this?
That morning, social anxiety got the better of me. Everyone was staring, I couldn't say a word, and just when I thought things couldn't get worse, it happened. Prince Charming? I had a lot of dreams about the man in the mirror that summer. Every time he told me something bad was about to happen. I think it was because of the anxiety I was having about moving. Mirror on the wall? Hello? Are you there?
Yes, mistress.
Listen, I need to know something.
No need to ask. You already know. Your life is cursed. You shall bring pain and destruction to all that you love.
No! That can't be! Hold on, don't go! Prince Charming? What are you doing here? A boy who looked exactly like the version of Prince Charming from my dream walked out from behind a stage curtain. Without thinking, I blurted out the first words that came to mind. Prince Charming? I was so embarrassed that I almost cried. But then the doors to the auditorium flew open. And who came walking down the aisle with her long, lanky strides? Lucy Diaz. What do you remember about that day we all met at the firehouse?
I remember you called Jack your Prince Charming.
Jack was Nina's boyfriend at the time. Against his will, he'd gotten roped into being in the play.
Then Lucy showed up and freaked everyone out with her scary art.
Lucy had been recruited to paint backdrops for that summer's production. She had plans for Quince's house, the fairy woods, the palace, all the familiar settings of the play, only depicted in a most unusual way.
it was like The Shire. If Lord of the Rings was a horror movie about insects.
Honestly, that's not far off. One look at Lucy's art, and you knew you were dealing with a different sort of animal. Lucy and me were primed for some sort of mutual psychosis. I told her about all my obsessions. Something I wouldn't grasp until later is that Lucy's career of being weird started way before I ever got there. How would you describe Lucy Diaz? Back before the bad stuff happened.
Even in middle school, she had this kind of seriousness to her. It's like she never cared about the things that other people cared about. She had her own mission.
I always felt like she was judging me, you know? I'm like a positive thinker and I try to help people look on the bright side.
I question Nina's self-description, but whatever.
Lucy was the opposite. Like, she wanted to make people uncomfortable.
Nina was never Lucy's biggest fan. In middle school, Jack had been Nina's boyfriend. Nobody imagined he'd break up with her and date a freak like Lucy. Jack didn't really want to participate in this podcast, but I twisted his arm enough to say a couple of things. What did you think of Lucy before you guys hooked up?
I thought of her as someone who just sort of existed in her own world.
This is something you'll hear over and over again about Lucy.
Most people want to be all sunshine and flowers, but Lucy, she was more like moonlight.
Did you always have the hots for her?
No comment.
And then there's Mary. Mary frickin' Mims. as we used to say. Tell me about Lucy from back then.
Lucy was always more mature than everybody else.
How?
Like, she discovered black mascara and fishnets way before I did. She was the first girl my own age that I ever saw eating alone in a restaurant.
What?
In our class, she put a naked Barbie doll headfirst into a bucket of black paint. Then she set it on fire and hung it upside down beside a crucifix and took photos.
Her gothy side definitely came out early. Lucy was never about being conventional.
The teachers told her that her tops were too low cut, so she went into a turtleneck and blazer phase. Only she would take her scissors and, rip up the blazers before she wore them.
You think she was just looking for attention?
Honestly, I think she enjoyed being an object of curiosity for others. You really had to admire her courage.
Throughout most of 8th grade, Lucy and Mary were close friends. By the time I entered the scene, however, they drifted apart. Neither one of them could ever really explain what had happened.
Lucy lived in her own world, and it was a strange world. The more you got to know her, the stranger your world became.
Theater camp was a sleepover camp, and because the theater was an actual firehouse, the dorms were on the 2nd floor. An early clue that there was something up with Lucy came when we all caught her sleepwalking. Do you remember that night when she almost fell down the stairs?
It was super creepy.
Sometimes Lucy would get up in the middle of the night to go down and work in her studio, especially if she couldn't sleep.
Like a weirdo.
And one time, even being asleep didn't stop her.
I thought she was a ghost.
That's another thing about the firehouse. According to local legend, this place is very, very haunted.
I remember being woken up in the middle of the night.
By what?
A sound, like someone tapping on the railing.
Nobody else woke up, though.
I don't know. Maybe it was only in my dream. Anyhow, I remember looking at my phone and seeing that it was 2:15. First I checked the hall. Then I thought I heard the sounds of footsteps on the 1st floor. Lucy's cot was empty, so I got worried that maybe she was sleepwalking.
At the end of the corridor was a stairwell, and at the bottom of that, a short hall leading through the dressing rooms to the auditorium.
This whole area was totally cramped with storage shelves and dollies. Something told me to walk that way.
Something.
It was a gut feeling. I came around here to the dressing rooms, where I saw light creeping from under the drapes.
I wish you could see how white Mary's face got when she described this part.
Right about here, I started to hear the sounds of someone breathing through their open mouth, so I kind of jolted that way. I almost fell off the stage before I saw her.
Lucy.
She was up there in the empty seats. Her eyes were wide open and there were tears coming down her cheeks. I felt like she was watching something on the stage that wasn't there. Honestly, I get goosebumps just thinking about it.
What did you do?
I came up here to ask her what was wrong. Then I noticed she was really tense and shaking. I couldn't tell if she was awake or not. I was about to tap her on the shoulder when I saw that her own hand was wrapped around her throat.
She was choking herself.
More like she was fighting off the hands of someone who was.
But you guys were alone.
Yeah, that was the scary part.
Lucy was having an epileptic seizure. Not for the first time in her life.
She had her first seizure in front of the whole class in 8th grade. That one was freaky, but this time, in a big, empty theater in the middle of the night, her eyes so wide open.
After we recorded, Mary told me that she really doesn't like to think about that night. I asked her why, but she didn't give me an explanation. Looking back after everything that's happened, do you believe that Lucy could have killed herself?
I mean, she had her ups and downs, obviously. Sometimes people lose control.
Yeah, I could see it.
I mean, that's what happened, isn't it?
No,
What makes you say that?
Lucy wouldn't have done that.
For a long time, I was right there with Jack. Now, I'm not sure what I think. At the hospital, the staff helped me overcome my delusional belief that Lucy was a vampire, or that her death had changed her magically into a butterfly. But the question of whether she died by her hand alone remains unsolved. Thanks for coming back to this place with me.
You're not gonna make me out to be the bad guy in your podcast, are you?
Why does everyone think there has to be a bad guy?
Wait, did you hear that?
What?
I thought I heard.
Okay, let's get out of here.
I always knew this place was screwy.
Let's go.
Are ghosts real? That's an interesting question, Blonde Bluebird. People used to believe in ghosts and monsters. Now we don't believe in that stuff. But none of that stuff went away. Doesn't that mean that we need ghosts to be real? How can monsters not be real if we can't live without them?
This is a very difficult story to cover. It deals with the death of a 15-year-old. We want to give you a warning right now that some of the details are hard to hear.
Wake up.
The corpse was covered in multiple lacerations and other signs of trauma.
What kind of monster would do this?
It makes me sick. Honestly, just really sick.